back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today we're going to do part 2 of the Raccoon face bag, or ammo bag, utility bag. So come on in and let's get started. The next step in this project is lacing up the bag. I've got some tan lace, a little bit lighter than my leather for my bag. We've got our holes marked. We marked those on the last video. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch these holes, then I'm going to do this lacing inside out, and then see if I can turn this inside out after I've laced it. That should be interesting to see how that goes, because it's not a huge bag, but I think I can get it done. We'll try it and see what happens. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose my punch, and I've put a chisel point on my lace just with a pair of scissors, and then I'll pick a punch that the thickness of the lace goes in the punch hole no problem, but then the width of it is a little stiff, and that's okay. I want it to pull through that hole pretty tight. That way when I flip this bag inside out, hopefully then that's going to make a nice seam. So first thing I want to do is go ahead and punch these holes in the side that I marked. And again, I marked them with a dark pen so I could see it easy. But those all come out, those marks come out with the punch, so I don't have to worry about any mark being left on the leather. Now what I'll do is I'll punch this on this end for this piece. And I'm trying to make, instead of going through both thicknesses, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. This leather punches, or at least it seems to punch really easy, so I might have been able to go through both thicknesses okay, but it just seems easier for me not to fight that and go ahead and just do one thickness here. As you can tell, I'm not hitting it very hard, just tapping my punch through the leather. And again, it's about 8 ounce. So it's not super thick either, so my punch pops out pretty easy. So let's remove all that. There's the holes on both sides, and then I think what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and fold that over, make sure that everything matches good. Take the same pen as long as I'm making sure I'm getting my marks on my leather here. And then all I'm doing is transferring those marks to that second piece. I want to make sure that keep it nice and square. As I transfer my marks through those first set of holes, now I've got my second set of holes here marked on that side and this side. I'll take the same punch and then continue opening those holes with that punch on this piece or this side. That'll give me my two surfaces that I'm going to lace together with the holes that'll match. And I am punching this on top of a poly cutting board. Again, I've personally found that these poly cutting boards are inexpensive. I buy most of mine at garage sales or flea markets that are already scratched up for $1 or so, and they don't seem to dull my punching tools. So that's what I use as my backer when I'm doing my punching. So there's all of my lacing holes punched. So now comes the part that might be a little interesting, seeing as how this is a little thicker than those holes. So first thing I want to do to get this started is I'm going to put me a knot in this end, and I'm going to grab a small pair of curved needle nose and pull that super tight to get that knot in there. I'll cut that off so I don't have a lot of excess hanging off of there. And then I'm going to go ahead and start by threading this through the back side, then through the front, and let's pull that up snug where those two are nice and snug together. Then I'm going to loop this to the outside and put it through both pieces, and I'm going to try to keep this as I do it I'm going to try to keep this lace from twisting. I want to try to keep it to where it's not twisting as I put it through there. So I keep it nice and straight. I'll wrap it to the outside, and it does help if you have fingernails. If not, then use a small pair of needle nose or something to grab that lace as it comes through there. And I'm going to do a couple of these and I'll show you what I'm getting out of it here. So there's 3 of them. Nice, even. Again, I measured all my holes before I punched them. So if you hear that roaring in the background, it sounds like the city's decided to vacuum leaves today right outside the house. And of course, they wait until I want to record a video. So I'll just keep lacing, and I move my laces if I need to, because this lace will stretch a little bit, so I can slide that over if I need to when I pull that tight. And they don't seem to back off once you stretch that. It tends to hold. But what I'm trying to do is make sure that these are even as I go down, because I know my holes are even. I measured those and marked them, so I want to try to keep my loops of my lace nice and even as I go down, because I'm going to have to terminate this at the end. Now here's a hole. There we go. Wanted to be a little stubborn going through both thicknesses there. And then sometimes if you just twist it or turn it a little bit, that'll help get it through there. But then you have to deal with making sure that you get it straightened back out before you pull it all the way through. And then this last one seems like it's going to be the worst one. So I take my stylus and just put it through the hole, both holes, kind of hang on to it, and that'll align that. I'm not really looking to stretch that hole out because I know it's the right size. I just want to align it, and then pull that through. There's a couple of ways to terminate this. You could go ahead and just put a knot on the end of it, and that would terminate it, just like I did at the beginning. Or we could pull it back through this and loosen that up, that last loop, just a little bit. Put it back through that loop, like so. Pull that through there. Make sure it's good and tight. And what that'll do is that'll lock that corner in through that back of that next loop, then I can tie my knot in there. Then it has to go under that tightened loop and through that hole in order to break free, and I don't think that's going to happen. So then I can go ahead and cut my lace off, make my knot, and just keep pushing that knot down. Grab my lace again with my needle nose pliers, pull that knot nice and tight, and then cut that off. So there's what my termination knot looks like. And again, the thought of this, I could have done this on the outside, but I want to see if I can't hide that. So I'm going to not take a chance on this being long enough, and I am going to pull another piece of lace out. And when I buy lace, I buy it in bulk, and it's a whole bunch of colors in one great big bag. And the first thing I do when I get home is I take gallon baggies and then sort it all out in similar colors, so it's easy for me to open my cabinet or my drawer and grab a bag that's similar in color that I want to work with. So I'll put another point, chisel point, on that, put my knot on this end, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my termination knot on the opposite side, make that nice and tight, cut off the excess, and I'm going to put that on the opposite side. It's on this side here. On this one, I'm going to put it on this side. No specific reason. I already dropped my lace. No specific reason other than not to have both those knots on the same side, on the inside there. So let me see if I can get this first one started. Start getting these lined up. Then I can loop it. Go through both thicknesses. And once I get started here, those holes should start pulling together and lining up. Pull that nice and snug. You don't want to overdo it, but you definitely want it nice and snug. Loop it again, and then just like the other side, I'm just going to continue down. Try not to get my lace twisted. And like I said on the other side, this lace seems to do really well when I pull on it and get that nice and snug. It doesn't seem like it wants to, like when you let go of it, these stay tight. And I think a lot of that has to do with the softness of the leather that you're using, and also the size of the holes that you punch. I think if you punch your holes, this is just from doing it before, but I think if you punch your holes too big, that's when you start running into some issues of uh, your lace wanting to, when you tighten it like that and let go, it wants to pull back through the hole. And that, obviously that makes sense, but I think if the uh, leather was harder and not soft like this, pretty pliable, um, that would also play into it. So this side seems to be going pretty well. I'll keep plugging away here. I've got a few more holes here to cover. Instead of going on the other side, I went under. You could flip this over if you wanted to and work at it that way. But as I pull those tight, that's what pulls those sides together also. And again, it does help to have fingernails if you can grab that little wedge tip that you cut into there. And again, that's just to help it start through the holes. And I'm going to do this one the same way. I'm going to back stitch it through that last loop. And my knot will be on the back side, the opposite side that this knot was on. So let's go ahead and cut excess off so I can work with it easier. Make my termination knot. Grab my needle nose and I hold my finger and my thumb around that knot tight against the leather as I pull on that. That way my knot doesn't move and it makes it tight against my leather instead of stretching that out and then it's loose here. So it keeps it nice and snug. Let's cut the excess off. Now I've got both sides laced up nice and tight. And remember, now this is inside out. So now the hard part is going to be turning this inside out. So I'm going to see if I can't put these corners in toward one another and push on that and keep pushing on those corners toward the center until I can start to get that turned inside out. And again, if this was real stiff leather, I don't think I could do this. Not by hand anyway. So you can see starting to get it inside out, push down in the corners from the inside with my thumbs. To stretch that out in the corners, and then there you can see my lacing on the edge. So now all those loops are hidden. All you see is the actual stitching that's holding that together from the inside. I don't know if I can get you a good enough picture on the inside. There you go. That's what the lacing looks like from the inside. And then we can pull this over. Now, when I did my pattern, I put these rounded little ears on each side. I thought it looked good. Well, now that I have my bag together and plenty of access and everything, I am not thrilled with the way that looks. So I am going to change my mind, and I'm going to take these ears off. I have to figure out how I want to do that. Definitely need my knife, flip my blade over so I got a nice clean crisp new blade on there. And I think what I'm going to do is just go from here, let's turn this over, yeah, down to the outside edge here where these are rounded here. So I'll just take the ears off. So let me get a straight edge, and I'll do one edge and let's see what that looks like. So instead of having that go out like that, after I got the bag done and folded it under, didn't care much for those ears on there. So I'm going to cut those off just like that, and we'll do the same thing on this one. And then I'll test fit that, see what that looks like. And also, because of folding that over, it made my flap pretty long. So I really don't need my flap. Well, I better pay attention to my raccoon face though. Yeah, I do need it that long because I gotta have space for my raccoon face to fit on there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some rivets in this to hold this raccoon face on. And it's got plenty of hair on it, so I'm hoping I can hide the rivets with the hair. Let's move this up just a little bit on the right hand side, and I'll have to stretch him out a little bit as I go to make sure that he looks right on there. So let's get my poly board again, and let's turn it this way. So I've got him centered on there pretty well. I'm going to hold that down as I punch my holes for my rivets on the sides here. Now I'm going through 2 thicknesses of the raccoon skin, the leather, and then a thickness of my regular leather out of my bag. So I'm going through 3 thicknesses. Now the leather on the raccoon face is not that thick. So let me grab some hardware here and let's see. I don't want to use a rivet that's too long. So let me use, I think I got some 5/16 rivets here. And I'll do one side. Get my setter and put that one on the anvil. I pull the hair back here before I put the cap on. That way I'm hoping the hair will hide the rivet itself. And all I'm doing is tacking this on there with these rivets because I don't want to take up a huge amount of time as far as trying to stitch this on. When you'd open it up, you'd have all kinds of stitching marks on there. Again, I'm trying to move this hair so I can get my rivet through the leather and not hold all the hair down here. Put that on the anvil, fold the other piece over, do the same with the hair on this side, move it out of the way the best I can before I put my cap on. I know you can't see that with my big hands in the way. So on the inside, you can see where I wrapped it around here on each side. And on the outside, we'll kind of fluff up that hair around there. And you can't even see the rivets. You can see this one over here a little bit. Again, we can fluff up the hair around it. Makes it really difficult to see. So I think that's going to work out pretty well. I'm going to put one at the top. I don't want to go overboard here with these rivets. So I'm just trying to put them right in the middle here. Again, move the hair. Make sure that I get all the way through. All the leather. And I'm going to move the hair out of the way. And this is where I need my overhead camera, so that I can put that rivet through there. Then I can turn it over. As long as I had that, I'm just trying to get the hair out of the way again. And then need a cap. My setter. Now, obviously you're going to see that one on the inside, but as far as the outside, you don't see it at all. It's right up here in the middle. Then I want this face kind of spread out a little bit so it's not so bunched up, because when that leather dries it wants to bunch up there. So I'm going to stretch that out a little bit, open this up, try to center it the best I can, move as much hair out of the way as I can. want to punch through all the thicknesses. Then I can turn that over again, get it on my anvil. Put another cap on there. Now, obviously you could stitch this on. There's probably several ways to do it. The only problem with that is it's going to be very time consuming, because I'd want my stitches to look symmetrical on the side. Same way with my rivets too. When you open that up, I want it to look right on the inside, so I am going to try to put these as close as I possibly can on each side to where they look right when you open the bag from the inside. So I'll flip it over, put my cap on, and set my rivet. So there's the inside. You can see those are pretty symmetrical with one another. But on the outside, and we can fluff this hair up here to cover any of those rivets on there. But there's my raccoon face bag. Plenty of space for storage. And then the only thing we need to do to finish this, and that's a personal preference, I guess, but the only thing we need to do to finish it is, how are we going to carry this bag? Do we want to put some belt loop straps back here, or do we want to put some straps on it to carry it over the shoulder? So that's probably something that we'll do down the road with a different project, but I just wanted to show you how I was going to finish this bag. So there you go. Alright, there's the completed bag. Turned out nice. There's the rivets on the inside. I did wrap the edges around so it would be held on there nice and tight. Also, I talked about putting some type of strap or some type of belt loop holder. I would probably also put some type of closure on this. Not sure, you could put a snap on it or a post, whatever kind of closure you'd want to. I've done loops with some type of antler on it to hold it closed. You could do all kinds of closures, but this is the actual completed bag. So I appreciate you coming along. There's what the sides with the lacing look like. Almost like a baseball glove type of lacing. We've got plenty of space on the inside of the bag. You can see how big it is. My whole hand pretty much fits in there. So that would hold a lot of ammo, or if you wanted to use it as a side bag for carrying your wallet, or most of this stuff would be carried by Rendezvous people, Black Powder. We belong to the Black Powder group. Those guys love this kind of stuff. So try it if you want to. It's not that difficult. Took 2 videos. If we wanted to add the closure or the belt loops or the strap, that'd be another video. Don't think we need to do that. Take a look at some of my past videos on some of that stuff that I've done, and you can check that out and add something to your bag if you want to do that. So I appreciate you coming along. I appreciate you watching. And as I always say, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.